guys, how you doing? So on my last video I posted with the Model A, the old Model A, I kind of screwed up and I missed out the beginning of the video. I forgot to post it. Don't ask me how it happened. I get too many videos on this camera and then I forget to delete some, and then I go back and I go to post stuff, and then I think I'm posting the right stuff. And anyway, I guess at the end of the day I know now when I get the videos off the camera I should just delete them off the camera because they're already on YouTube. So we're going to go backwards a bit here on the resurrection of the Model A, because somebody wrote into me and I was lost here. They said, hey Rick, you got to move that engine back further. Your fan and your radiator's not going to clear. And I was going to write back and say, well fuck, aren't you watching the beginning of the video? Because at the beginning of the video I show the rad, the fan, everything mounted in place with tons of clearance. So then I went back before I got, being the asshole I am, and watched the video and realized I forgot the very front of the video, the beginning of it, when I was fitting the radiator and all that. So we're going to add the beginning of the video that you missed out on right now for all you guys to see. This is what happened before I started making the tranny crossover and the tranny mounts and all that stuff. Okay? Alright, here we go. It's always a good time. Alright guys, we know what time it is. It's the weekend. It's time to work on the car again. So I spent 3 days on this car. I'm probably into this car for less than 24 hours for what you've seen from the beginning of me putting the wood in the roof till trying to mock up this engine. So now, let me show you what's going on. So, if you remember in the last video I had the jack stands in the wrong spot and I couldn't get the engine all the way slipped in. Well, I moved the jack stands here and I slipped the engine back. And it's on the old Hurst mount, which I was showing you. You can see there's movement here. It's forward all the way now. But I've got at least another inch I can move it back. You have to take all this stuff in consideration. You think I'm done, but I am nowhere near done. The original cross member down below in the car, I just chopped it out for now because I had to get the tranny in there and I'm going to have to redo all that. And then I have to make a mount for the transmission. That still has to be cut down even more because the engine is not on the proper angle. Usually I put my thing on here and I get it at 3 degrees. Put it right up here on there. Your cardboard bolt down. But I also have to consider now what we need to do is we need to put an old water pump on here, a harmonic balancer, a fan, and a pulley. We have to get that on there because we have to see, before we start making the engine mount, we have to see exactly where this engine is going to be positioned because we do have this inch of difference here. And you want to, I'm trying to run the stock mechanical fan. I don't want electric fans on this car. I just don't want it. I don't like the look of them through the grill shell. I don't like the look of them, period, when it's on an open hood car. I just don't like them. Are they good? Are they handy? Sure they are. I'm not knocking them. I just don't like them on an open car. You know, it's like I don't like LED lights on a car, on an old car. They just don't look right. But they do work well, but they just don't suit it to me. So what I need to do now is I'm going to dig out a water pump, an old pulley and a fan, harmonic balance. I'm not even worried about, well, yeah, I'll put the harmonic balancer on there. I'll get all that on there. Then I can set my thing on there. So, anyway, what came? Look at here. I've got my brand new radiator came. I got this from Champion. Champion sells good radiators. That radiator was like $300. It's a heavy duty 3-core to fit in this grill shell. And of course, you got to cut your holes. This is where your grill shell, right here, the grill shell. That's what I'm talking about. You can see there's a hole down there. There's a hole there. You have to drill your holes in here for that to mount over it. Then you got to drill here because this is where it mounts onto here, onto your frame. So you got to get all that figured out. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to drill this. I'm going to do this as a bit of an oblong. That way there I can move it a little bit. Got a little bit of adjustment. But beautiful. I got the radiator. I'm not going to leave it looking like this. I'm going to paint it black. I don't want that. Just look under the hood and you see that gaudy looking thing sitting there like that. If the car was all done up in tons of chrome and all that kind of shit, maybe I'd leave it, but I don't want it. I want it painted black, and that's that. Going for that old school kind of look. What else did I get? I got me a set of vintage, like on American Graffiti, Cal Custom 6-finned valve covers. There we go. Gonna get these all polished up. So I got my valve covers. I got my intake on the way. So I'm slowly gathering a few pieces up. Not that I said I'm not building American Graffiti, but I'm going for that look of the engine from American Graffiti. So what I'm going to do next, I guess, is we'll dig out a water pump and a fan and a pulley and all that kind of bullshit and mount it on there and see where we can go. If you can see, I laid this ruler up here where the firewall would be. This would be where this, the stock firewall sat here, right? But it bulged out a bit. So I was kind of laying that there, and the firewall came out, I got to take a measurement, but the firewall came out from that at least another 2 inches. So it just would have cleared this distributor where this engine's sitting all the way forward. But if I move this engine back, you can tell I would have had to do some work there. So anyway, I'm just playing, just looking. So this is going to take a while. This is when things are going to slow down a bit. You don't just do this shit overnight. And I only spend 1 day a week on it, and I only get like maybe 6 to 8 hours on it. So see what we can get done here on this day. Okay, so I dug out an old water pump, short water pump, pulley, harmonic balancer, and a fan. And then I took the new rad I had to drill the holes in it to mount it to the frame. Then I had to fit the grill shell and drill the holes to that too. So if you stand back here, you can see it's sitting a little bit like that, but that's because I haven't got my rods to go to my firewall, which, if you're familiar with these cars, they got threads on either end which allow you adjustment. So that'll that'll move that however I want it to move, right? Okay. So that's in there. That's sitting there. Now the reason I'm putting all this together is I wanted to make sure I had the engine shuffled back as far as it needs to be, because I got to figure out fan clearance. Now see, this stuff just doesn't, you can't just, it's a thinking process. So what you can see is a typical problem with these cars is look how the fan is right down there. I mean, it's not cooling fuck all but the cross member. So you want to raise these up, unless you're going to run the electric fan. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with electric fans. We put them in newer cars. It's just I don't think it looks good on an opened hooded car to have an electric fan. It just, I don't know, it just doesn't look right. So what you buy is this thing. It's a water pump adapter. It's made by Zips, Z-I-P-S. You can get it at Speedway Motors. And what it does is it bolts to your block and it lifts, it comes up 5 inches and lifts your water pump 5 inches up. And it actually uses a water pump from a Chevy 6-cylinder. They supply the water pump. You can go on Speedway Motors and buy it. So it's basically going to bolt on here like the water pump, and I think it sticks out like an inch and 3/4 to inch and a half to inch and 3/4. It comes out. So you got to so you got to account for that's going to come out. Then your water pump's going to go on, and then you got the measurement of your water pump. So you got to account for all that to make sure you're going to have the clearance. So right now, look at the clearance I got. By the time I put this new part I got to get on here and my water pump, my fan is going to be literally an inch off the radiator, which is fine. That's really going to, suck the cold air through in there, and that's going to help out even more. So anyway, I had to order that part up, but you can see how this fan is just way too low. So that's going to bring it up 5 inches. So if you just go from here 5 inches, it's basically going to take the top of that fan, and it's going to bring it up to around here, right? Which is perfect, because you want to cool here. You want to cool there. You want to be cooling from your center of your radiator up, you know what I'm saying? So, and I can show you, let's see if I still got it. I actually just ordered it just now. Let's see if it comes up if I show it. My luck, it probably doesn't. Oh, these fucking computers. Oh, hang on a second here. Hang on a second here. Let's see, then I can show you guys where it is. Alright, oh, it was just there. No. There it is. There it is, folks, right there. So you can see this is going to bolt right there to where your water pump is on your block. That's lifting this up 5 inches, and then they're going to supply you with a water pump that's going to bolt to there. And it's got an alternator bracket, and it comes for brackets if you want to run AC or any of that shit on the side, which we don't want that. So that's, whoops, sorry there. That's it right there. So the part number is, there you go, 9108841. And it's 180 bucks American. So that's what you're looking at. So I ordered that up, and that's on the way now. That's on the way. So we'll get that put on there. But I did all the measuring. I got everything figured out, so we're good to go. I got lots of clearance here. That's figured out. So I know my rad is good now. My rad is perfect. That's all done, finished, mocked up. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. And I know that's where the engine is going to sit. The engine's going to sit this far back. I got lots of clearance from my F1 steering box. If you're wondering what I have here, I've got a 49 and up F1 steering box. Lots of clearance there for my oil filter. So now what we're going to do is now I got to get up underneath here. Well, actually what I got to do, yeah, I'm going to get up underneath here and I'm going to mark out what I need to for my tranny mount, what I need to do there. Then I got to pull the radiator back out now, and I got to pull the engine and tranny out. Then I got to start welding and making that. And then mock it up, set the engine back in, make sure I put my angle thing on here to see if I'm at 3 degrees. And once I get that, pull it back out, finish welding it, and then boom, our engine and tranny are in place. So that's what's going on. So it's getting there. It's getting there. There's already a bloody almost couple hours gone in the day just on shit like that. But had I just gone ahead and started making a tranny mount when I got out here today, well, if you remember, my engine was forward 1 inch. Oh man, it would have been huge trouble. It would have messed everything up because it would have brought this even closer to that. Anything I'm making anyway, I'm kind of doing what the hearse mount kind of did back in the day. They left it slotted out a bit, so I've got that movement. I'll do the same thing with the tranny mount. I'll leave it slotted out a little bit because we all know that you fit something together and it fits perfect, and then you blow it all apart and you paint it and you go to put it back together, and sure as shit, it's out that 1/8 of an inch. And you're like, how can it be when it fit proper the first time? Things just happen that way. So I'd like to always leave a little bit of movement there on that. So I'm going to leave a little bit. I'm going to try and leave like a 1/2 inch of movement in the tranny cross member I'm going to build, so I can go either way with it. So yeah, well, let's continue on here and see where we get. Okay, well, I've taken the I took the exhaust off the car to get it out of my way up underneath here. So I think what's going to happen next here is I'm going to be pulling out the radiator now. I'm going to pull this all out because I fitted it. It's mocked up. I know what's going on there. So that's a good thing. And then that way there I can pull the motor now back out, the engine and tranny back out of here. And I can play with this back cross member. I took some measurements, drew myself a little diagram up on paper, and I kind of got figured out what I need to do. So I'm going to start chopping that out of there and going with that. So we'll start there. I also went and dug out the, right here, I dug out the mount, and I had it sitting on there. That's the mount that's going to bolt to the tranny, right? And then I had to figure out where that's what's going to mount to the tranny mount that I'm going to make down below. So I dragged that out. It's always good to keep old shit around, you know, like you'll have an old mount like this, you know, maybe you're a car guy, you know what I'm talking about. And yeah, it's not the greatest, but it's handy to keep this shit for mock-up, you know, like that's why I don't get rid of all these old fans and pulleys and brackets. You got to keep all that crap. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to take this radiator out and grill shell yard that engine out of there, and we're going to start playing with the cross member back there and see if we can, well, see if we can get something done here still on this day. It should be nice just to get something at least tacked into place and the engine back in there and, you know, sitting like it should be. So we'll give it a go.